So when I went out for a walk the other day, I ended up meeting someone who I often speak to when I go out for a walk, and this time he was walking his dog. And I think the last time I saw him out with his dog was when this dog was trying to round up the sheep in a field. And right now, if you know your dogs, and even if you don't, you may be thinking that this must be a sheepdog. And if you are right. It is a sheepdog. And so this time I was able to get a bit closer to the dog. And when I looked down and put my hand out, the dog was really looking at me and it moved towards me. And at this point, I thought that this dog was a bit different. I thought this dog had a lot of presence. And as I say about a lot of animals, it was showing unconditional love. And so even though it was a dog, its presence seemed to be a lot bigger than the body that it was inhabiting. And after this, in the evening, I was reflecting on the experience and trying to work out what was different about the dog. Because at an emotional level, in addition to what I said, I had a lot going on, but my mind couldn't really put into words what was going on. And I came to see that the dog had a very strong presence, as I found when I was there, and I opened up to the dog. And when I think back to my own childhood, we had 2 golden retrievers and lots of other animals, rabbits and chickens, and I had a special bond with a lot of these animals. And so I've always, through having dogs, I've always felt this connection to dogs more than cats. And a few days later, I ended up seeing the same guy again, and we were speaking, and I said, "How's the dog doing?" And I could hear that the dog was barking in his house. And he said, "Oh, he's doing well." And he ended up saying that this is one of those dogs that is taken to schools and care homes to settle people down and to cheer people up. So it was one of those therapy dogs. And after I heard this, it's almost like the experience I had was validated and everything fell into place. I knew there was something different about this dog, because unlike a lot of dogs that are purely ruled by their instincts, so they're either barking or jumping around or sniffing things, this dog seemed to be a higher consciousness dog, seemed to be a lot more evolved than a lot of other dogs. So I knew there was something different about the dog. And he ended up saying that sometimes he has to put the dog on a diet because he ends up eating too many biscuits. And this made me think about human beings, because although some human beings can have a lot of presence and be very loving, they are still very human. And so they will have their faults. And so just as this dog had a lot of presence and was very loving, it also was controlled from time to time by its instincts. And so just as dogs are not perfect, human beings are also not perfect, and they're not meant to be. And so after hearing this, perhaps you've owned a dog or a cat like this, or another animal, and it was almost human, the way it was very present. Or perhaps you have owned an animal like this in the past. But what I can say is that I won't forget the experience I had with that dog too soon, because it left a big impact on me. It made me think that just as human beings can have a big impact on the world, so can animals too. They might not be able to speak, but how they behave, their unconditional love and their presence, they can have a big impact on everyone who they come into contact with. So if you have had an experience like this, I'm sure you have, please feel free to let me know. It'd be good to hear about your experience.